Originally posited by social psychologist Leon Festinger in 1954, the theory of social comparison asserts a fundamental human instinct to seek accurate self-perceptions. As the theory describes, individuals often gauge their own opinions and capabilities by contrasting themselves with others. By doing so, we are visiting as a form of self-identification, reducing uncertainties about our own attributes and learning how to delineate ourselves as individuals. The theme of this theory lies in self-evaluation and self-positioning through the prism of others' standards and emotions. After the development of this theory, researchers started examining social comparison as a method of self-amelioration, which gave birth to the concepts of downward and upward comparisons, thus diversifying the motivations behind social comparisons. This thought system was partially rooted in theories presented by Herbert Hyman in his groundbreaking 1942 paper. Hyman argued that an individual's self-perception of their own status is largely contingent on the group they are comparing themselves to. The social comparison theory hence revolves around one's belief that media impacts, social standing, and competitive behaviors may play a part in shaping our personas, self-worth, and mood. This, in turn, can influence the individual's self-perception and their perceived place in the social fabric. Born in New York City on May 8, 1919, Festinger was an American psychologist who made critical contributions to social psychology with his development of social comparison theory. An innate interest in science led him on a path to psychology, earning his bachelor's degree from City College and later his master's and PhD from Iowa State University in 1942. Festinger challenged the pervasive influence of behaviorism while simultaneously advocating for the critical role of scientific experimentation in social psychology. He proposed several hypotheses related to his social comparison theory. Firstly, he contended that a fundamental human instinct is to assess their own opinions and abilities through objective, non-social criteria. In the absence of those, he maintained, people would turn to comparisons with others. Furthermore, Festinger suggested that the inclination to compare oneself with others diminishes as differences in opinions and abilities widen. He proposed a one-way drive to consistently enhance abilities, but not opinions. Unfortunately, he warned, inherent non-social hindrances may make it impossible to increase ability despite desire. Lastly, Festinger theorized a potential cessation of comparison with others when continued comparison results in unpleasant consequences, often manifesting as hostility towards such individuals. The theory proposes that people are more likely to make comparisons with individuals who share differing views or abilities when those attributes align with the differences. Hypothesis VI. Moreover, Festinger suggests that, among a group with a wide spectrum of opinions or skills, there are variations in the strength of urges towards conformity. Those closer to the norm may be more keen on influencing others, less inclined to limit comparison range, and least likely to shift their beliefs. Hypothesis X. The original idea has since evolved, with the most significant advancements in comprehending motivations behind social comparisons and the types of comparisons made. Key motivations for social comparison include self-enhancement, maintaining a positive self-image, attribution components and validation, and the desire to avoid closure despite alterations to Festinger's original idea. Core elements persist, such as the prevalence of the social comparison tendency and the overall comparison process. Thornton and Arrowwood further suggest that self-evaluation is a function of social comparison. The act of comparing oneself socially stems from individual, specific goals. When self-evaluating, people often prefer a comparison target akin to themselves, particularly someone with similar distinguishing characteristics. It's generally deemed beneficial to seek truth about oneself, and most people believe that choosing a similar target ensures a precise self-evaluation. However, bias often permeates these evaluations, and accuracy might not be the main objective of social comparison. Research has often shown that, particularly amongst American women, there's a usual dissatisfaction with their appearance. Women often see themselves as too plain, elderly, acne-ridden, overweight, hirsute, or tall, with a higher sensitivity towards physical appearance than men. The media's habit of digitally enhancing women's images, from waist size to complexion texture, perpetuates the notion that only thinness and flawlessness are acceptable. This triggers dieting obsessions, excessive physical training, and even eating disorders. This damaging form of social comparison can negatively affect an individual's self-perception. Furthermore, many aim to boost their self-esteem through self-enhancement. To achieve this, They may twist, neglect, or misinterpret information gathered from social comparisons to see themselves in a more favorable light. Cognitive dissonance produces psychological discomfort, prompting individuals to seek ways to relieve it. Increasing dissonance levels fuel a proportionate desire to eliminate the discomfort they create. One method of relieving this dissonance is by modifying the cognitive representation of a person we compare ourselves to, aiding us in preserving our self-perception and thereby allowing us to compare ourselves without directly threatening ourselves. It seems this is equivalent to comparing different entities, a process comparable to psychological denial. Later advancements in theory identified self-enhancement as one of 4 core self-evaluation motivations, along with self-assessment, self-verification, and self-improvement. In 1981, Wills introduced the concept of downward social comparison, a defense mechanism used as a tool for self-evaluation. This is when an individual compares themselves favorably to those they perceive as inferior, a practice shown to elevate self-regard. Downward comparison theory focuses on the positive effects of such comparisons on subjective well-being. For instance, research has shown that breast cancer patients predominantly compare themselves to those less fortunate, which was similarly observed among patients suffering from physical illnesses like heart disease or cancer. This comparison made them more optimistic about their own recovery prospects. However, upward social comparisons, where individuals compare themselves to those they see as superior or better, are not always detrimental to self-regard as suggested by previous social comparison research. Collins argues that these upward comparisons can be made consciously or subconsciously to improve self-perception or construct a positive personal reality, ultimately serving to facilitate self-evaluation, self-improvement, and potentially self-enhancement. The process of social comparison, either upward or downward, can elicit different responses in individuals based on their current disposition and circumstance. Aspinwall and Taylor's study reveals that individuals are more inclined to make downward comparisons when their esteem is under threat, as these serve to produce a more favorable self-view. Conversely, upward comparisons proved advantageous for those with high self-esteem, as it bolsters their motivation and optimism, much more than downward comparisons. An individual with low self-esteem or someone under duress, such as an academic failure or illness, often leans towards downward comparisons. It provides a boost to their low mood and fosters hope and motivation for the future. But this self-view could be a hindrance to their success due to their overly critical self-assessment, a byproduct of low self-esteem. Remarkably, irrespective of their self-esteem level, individuals in negative moods show an upbeat attitude upon making upward comparisons. A similar elevation in mood is noted in those with high or low self-esteem already in a positive disposition. However, a recent setback or threat to one's self-esteem could render this positive effect of upward comparison to be less effective and potentially negative. Social comparisons, interestingly, can also fuel competition among peers, greatly influenced by one's social status and the context of their abilities evaluation. The effects of the social comparison competition are more pronounced among those with higher social status as they have more at stake. A study exhibited this phenomenon where higher status students objected to a chance-based bonus point program as they saw it as a loss, indicating a cognitive aversion to potential downward mobility. The results underscore the psychological implications of an individual's social status when it comes to social comparisons. In social psychology, various theories such as the self-evaluation maintenance model, SEAM, the proxy model, the triadic model, and the three selves model offer intriguing insights into our comparative behavior. The SEAM emphasizes one's self-assessment, elucidating instances whereby we bask in others' victories or feel threatened by their success. Compiled by Abraham Tesser, this model outlines self-assessment dynamics and their influence on social behavior. A newfound concept, the proxy model, predicts the success of the unfamiliar, hypothesizing that if a person triumphs in a known task, they would do well in a new, similar task. Success is therefore measured in relation to prior abilities and effort. The triadic model, however, underscores three key evaluative questions. Preference assessment, do I like X? Belief assessment, is X correct? And preference prediction, will I like X? This model suggests that the most significant comparisons involve a person experienced with the proxy and consistent in their evaluations. Proposing a duality in social comparison theory, the three selves model blends motivation and self-evaluation factors, commanding the information we seek and judge against. While this model aligns with social cognitive theory by viewing the self as interlinked, adaptable notions based on the context, it also acknowledges the assimilation effect, keying out individual selves, potential selves, and collective selves. Furthermore, the role of media in social comparisons is undeniable. Studies have shown that women regularly compare themselves to societal epitomes in the media, leading to insecurity and negative self-perception. This makes social comparisons an important concept when understanding peer expectations and societal norms for appearance, 2001 p647. T647. Both males and females can experience a hike in their self-esteem when they recognize more similarities with their role models, and conversely, a dip when they discover fewer similarities. Social media comparison with peers can incite a range of emotions from self-pity to satisfaction, instigating fear of missing out, FOMO, and obsessive monitoring of social media platforms. The similarity hypothesis from Festinger confronted a slew of criticisms. Deutsch and Krauss insisted that individuals actually pursue comparisons with those who are different, arguing its value for vital self-knowledge, as supported by various studies. Certain ambiguities about vital similarity dimensions were highlighted. Goethals and Darley elucidated the role of similarity, proposing that individuals are inclined to make comparisons with those who share similar opinions, traits, or abilities, fostering confidence and value judgments. However, those dissimilar on these aspects are preferred when it comes to validating one's beliefs.